Welcome to the Candle Business Coach podcast. I'm your host, Kirsty Allen, the Candle Business Coach. I'm a mum of three, kindness advocator, and your go-to coach for building a thriving candle business. Welcome back to the podcast, my friend. It has been a hot minute since my last upload, a few months in fact, and I actually just listened back to the last episode that was uploaded back in November, and I made some grand promises or some ideas of what was going to happen to the podcast. And now suddenly it's early March and no episodes were released between November and now. I want to talk to you about that and to not explain myself or to justify why there were no podcast episodes, but to talk on the point of how when we're feeling burnt out or we're feeling stressed, it can be really hard to keep up motivation, keep up the momentum, because all we want to do sometimes is rest and pull back and really just focus on the things that mean the most to us and the things that bring us the most joy. So in today's episode, I want to chat to you a little bit about why I almost quit the Candle Business Coach business. Spoiler alert, I did not quit, I'm still here. And the second point is I want to talk to you about motivation and how it's a mood, it's a feeling, it's unreliable as a method of staying in momentum or being consistent in your business. But before I want to get into that though, I do want to slightly promise that moving forward from here, I'm planning to have 1 to 2 episodes of the podcast released each month. That is the goal, that's what I'm aiming for. It's not a stretch goal. It is realistic for me to do this. But if it's not perfectly 1 or 2 episodes a month, if it's maybe a little bit less or maybe even a little bit more, that is just how it is. I've found that it is more beneficial to prioritize my limited time in other ways, different ways to help grow the Candle Business Coach business. I still very much love the podcast and want it to be a part of your candle making journey. And it's something that I'm very proud of what we've created with this podcast, the guests that we've had, the candle makers that we've spoken to. It's been absolutely incredible and I'm truly grateful for the journey so far. But as with all journeys, things change, things pivot, we evolve, we grow, we learn, and we can change direction depending on what feels right authentically to us and what is logistically possible. So I'm hoping, as I promised in the last episode, to still continue with solo episodes and guest episodes. But really, it's a matter of you, the listener, contacting me as well and saying that you want to be a part of the podcast. Because one of the hardest parts I've found is that the more podcast episodes I do, the longer I've been doing this, it seems to be, unfortunately, less and less people want to be a part of the podcast, and I'm not entirely sure why. It could be because you're finding so much value from the podcast, hopefully, that you don't necessarily know what else you could add. But I have to say, your journey is very unique and special, and I want an opportunity to share your journey with other candle makers, because guaranteed there is another candle maker out there that will learn some wisdom from hearing your journey. So I'll just, I guess give the podcast a little plug. If you want to be a part of a future episode, please contact me on Instagram at Candle Business Coach, because I would absolutely love for you to be a part of, a future episode. All right, so let's chat a little bit about how I almost quit being the Candle Business Coach. So after I recorded the last episode in November and released it, I basically hit a wall of no motivation, feeling burnt out, feeling, I guess, maybe even underappreciated perhaps. I don't mean that in a my ego needs to be stroked kind of way to do this, but when you're not getting, I guess, consistent feedback that what you're doing is helpful or supporting other people, sometimes you question, is it worth it? Am I even making a difference? And I wonder if that's the same for you in your candle making journey, in your candle business. If you're not receiving consistent sales, or if you're not hearing that consistent feedback from customers and even potential customers to say, wow, this scent is amazing, your candles are beautiful, I love how they burn, I love how they perform, etc., etc. I mean, obviously our customers will use different terminology to that. But my point is that if we're not receiving that feedback, sometimes it feels like, well, what am I doing this for? And I think the thing that I went through is that I was looking outside of myself for validation, for consideration, and even just appreciation as well. And I'd forgotten that most basic rule is that we need to find that connection, that support, that spark from within ourselves, because that's all we can control, right? So rather than waiting to hear what someone else thinks of our products or our business or our contributions to society, we need to focus on the things that we can control and push through any barriers that come up, mental, physical, emotional, financial, whatever it might be, if this is something that we want to do long term. So with your candle making journey and building a candle business from hobby stage into, perhaps a full-time income, perhaps even building your, multi-million dollar empire, depending on what your goals are, of course, there are going to be challenges along the way. And as I said before, some of them will be financial, some of them will be emotional, some of them will be mental and physical too. So when something doesn't feel in alignment anymore, it can be really hard to spark that motivation and to get yourself into momentum and stay in momentum. And for me, as I said, I was feeling run down, burnt out, and I think the end of 2025 was a tough year for a variety of reasons, and that's for all of us, not just myself. And I think what happened is I pulled back in all directions from the Candle Business Coach and my magnet making business, Magnetized Memories, because I felt like I was taking on too much, because I am still a mum of 3 and I do work 4 days a week part-time. So there are a lot of moving pieces of the chessboard that I'm trying to coordinate, as we all are. I guess what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to looking at what we want to do with our time, at least for me, the things that I want to do, I want to be productive. I want them to matter. I want to have purpose behind it, and I want to have passion fuel that. So when I took the time to pull everything back, to really come back to home, back to myself, and think, what do I want to do with the Candle Business Coach world? Where do I want it to go? Do I see myself doing this in another 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, maybe even 20 years? Will this be something that I'm always going to do until the day I'm not here? And I thought, rather than putting all of that pressure on myself and trying to make one decision based on all these unknowns, came back to just put one foot in front of the other. Keep following your path authentically, listen to your instincts, and just enjoy the journey. Stop putting so much pressure on ourselves to be, the perfect candle business coach, or the perfect candle maker in your case, or the perfect, wife, daughter, sister, whatever it might be. Just take the pressure off, take a breath, and take it one step at a time. And when I gave myself permission to do just that, it got to a point where I realized that I absolutely adore being the Candle Business Coach. It's one of my greatest joys in life, apart from my children, of course. It's my own personal journey that I've been able to create this business from the ground up, from, a spark of an idea several years ago now. I think it was I think I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years now. Time flies. And I've been doing this for so long, and I realized I don't want to make a permanent decision based on a temporary situation. I knew how I was feeling wasn't going to last in terms of feeling burnt out or run down. And I also knew that if I didn't continue being the Candle Business Coach, that would come with a lot of disappointment, my own sadness, my own loss, and I would grieve the loss of being the Candle Business Coach. But it's not just about the label, it's being the person that is able to support the candle makers inside my community, the Candle Makers Collective, our beautiful membership. And it's been incredible being a part of their journeys too, and supporting them, in our weekly group calls and providing resources that help to streamline, markets and wholesale and strategies to scale and grow your business, and all the other different resources that we have. To lose all of that, or to stop all of that, when it means so much to myself and to the candle makers in the collective, as well as the people that follow me on Instagram, and of course here listening to me on the podcast, I realized that no, I couldn't give up on this business, this dream. So here I am recording another episode for the podcast to explain where I've been and why it's been the case. But enough about me. I want to talk to you about you and your level of motivation when it comes to your business. I've noticed a bit of a trend recently with candle makers, with a few people that I've been speaking to in my private coaching and also in the collective, but also through Instagram DMs. And there seems to be this concept of, if I'm not feeling motivated on a particular day, I won't do anything in my business. And I hate to say it, but I did say this before, motivation or feeling motivation, it's a mood that we experience. It's a feeling that we experience. It's an unreliable source of energy, and it will not sustain you in your business if you are only relying on motivation to take action. If you wake up in the morning and say it's a day where you've got a good amount of time or even a small amount of time to work on your business, but you're just not feeling it and you don't take action, guess what? Your business is not going to grow. You will not grow as a person. Your business will not grow as an asset. I'm not sure where I've heard this saying from or if it's an official quote somewhere, but the theory is that if we're not moving forward, we're moving backward. We're not staying still. We're either moving forward towards our goals or we're moving further away from them. And I would hate to think that if you've started your journey and you've, started the testing process, you're doing your market research, you're building your socials, your website, all the things, and you're, selling at markets and you're wanting to sell at wholesale or perhaps already selling wholesale, to not continue taking action consistently. And yes, that does mean daily. You need to be working daily on your business. I know we're not big businesses, we are small businesses, but think of big businesses. They don't just take days off because they're not feeling like it, right? They're taking action every day to either send emails to their list or posting on socials or reaching out to potential wholesale retailers or customers. Now, I know not every day you'll be able to do all the things, but that's where we can step back. We can zoom out a little and have a bit more of a bird's eye view on being able to put systems in place so that across a week, you've got your emails taken care of. You're posting on social regularly, you're testing your products, you're selling them at markets, you're, again, approaching wholesalers, you're scaling and growing your business one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, just like I mentioned before. But I'm just not seeing everyone take action. And it's surprising because for me, at least, when I think about why I started, initially my candle business and then moving into the candle business coach world, we've got goals and dreams, right? We wake up in the morning daydreaming about our goals and our dreams and what they mean to us and what they'll give our families and what they'll provide for us. And those dreams don't go away. So yes, motivation is a feeling, it's a mood, it's not something that can sustain you. But I want you to think about your why. Why did you start this journey? Out of all the things in the world that you could do, why did you start a candle journey, a candle making, candle business journey? Is it about finding purpose? Is it about being creative? Is it about doing something that you've never done before to prove to yourself that you can do it? I'd argue yes. So then why are you taking the action that's required to move the needle in your business, in your journey? Why do we stay stagnant or move backwards? Why aren't we taking consistent action in the direction of our goals and dreams? It's disheartening to see so many candle makers have so much potential and them not take action, when I know that they're just one small decision away from changing their journey, changing their business. And I'd hate to think that mindset challenges are a part of why we don't take action. But I know that's part of it, because when I speak to the candle makers in the collective on our weekly Zoom group coaching sessions on a Tuesday night, that comes up time and time again. And so I wonder if it's something that you're struggling with, if you're procrastinating, if you're distracting yourself, if it's a fear of failure, if it's a fear of success, no matter what it might be, this is something that I can help you work through, either in a private coaching session, which I'll pop the link in my show notes if you want to check out the options for that, or in the Candle Makers Collective. We can support you and be there for you. So there are ways to get yourself into a motivated state of mind, get yourself into momentum, and get yourself moving forward. Now, I know this episode is a little bit different. I'm not normally so direct, but I want you to know that if you've got goals and dreams and you want to meet those goals and dreams and have them become your reality, you simply must take the action that's required to get you there. Don't worry about whether you fail or whether you succeed. You cannot control the outcome of your actions most of the time. But what you can do is take a step forward. Take a step forward to push the boundaries of your comfort zone just that little bit each and every day. Because I guarantee you that where you will be and what your life will be like next week, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, if you're taking consistent steps into the direction of your goals and dreams, you will be amazed by how different your business looks, how much different your candle making journey looks. So I wanted to talk to you about that today, about motivation, about why I almost quit and didn't, and how moving forward, if we're taking action, we will reach our goals and dreams. So maybe this episode perhaps was a reminder for me as well as for you. And don't they say that it's the content that you create is what you need the most, and that's what resonates the most because it comes from the heart, it's intentional, it's authentic? I hope so anyway. I also want to mention I do have my free ebook, the 10 Proven Strategies to Scale Your Candle Business. I'll pop the link for that in the show notes. You can check out that ebook. Thanks so much for listening, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Thank you, my friend, for listening to this episode. Check out the show notes for all the links mentioned throughout the conversation, and please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes.